You know, sometimes, man, it's good to hear from somebody that you might think is successful that can share a piece of information, because a lot of people, that's really all that's missing from a person.
Just say, I can. Yeah, come on, I can. I can. Come on, one time. Yep, I will. Yep, I must.
Develop the ability to act. Take action. Not hasty if it isn't required, but don't lose much time. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong.
We do our best when our destinations are beyond the measurement. We aren't thinking of the finish line, nowhere in process the approach is the destination, and we are never finished. Some of you just got to begin to believe. For some of you, what I want you to do is throw something on a wall. Every time I see you, I say the same thing because I think we overcomplicate it. It's the power of the choice, the power of using the people around you and not being afraid of failing, but being afraid of not trying. You can't just talk about wanting to win. You have to prepare to win, and you have to expect to win.
Going from this level to the next level, it's just a piece of information. It's not money, it's information. Because being successful is just knowing the principles of success. Like, if you understood a very simple principle, the principle of gratitude, do you understand that if you were to wake up every day and go down the list of things and just tell God what you're grateful for? Don't wake up a single day without going down the list of things you're grateful for. It could be something minute. You know, waking up, you should really thank him every day, because I don't know if you notice or not, you really don't have the ability to wake yourself up. You really don't. A lot of alarm clocks go off and people don't answer the bell.
I don't care if you got to listen to me 1,000 times. I need you to get crystal clear about your future. Because the only reason why you are here, the only reason why you're alive is because you have work to do. And you got to figure out, why on earth are you here? What is your destiny? What is the dream that God has given you? You got to have like a shark mentality, because if a shark swims backward, it dies. A shark can only move forward. And so I need you every single day you wake up to smell blood and go after that dream. Come on, you ain't hungry no more? Next 100, I need you to stay focused. Why? You should still be hungry. What have you eaten that got you satisfied? What have you done? What have you accomplished that got you so full? I have too much to accomplish.
Your alarm clock can go off, but God has to shake you, to wake you, so you hear them. That's, you know, it's not the alarm. So if you wake up every day and you go down the list of things that you're grateful for, what God does in return is he gives you more things to be grateful for, because he's a very wise and generous God, right? If you're not grateful for the things I've given you and you have no gratitude for it, and that seems to be really mundane to you, it's burdensome, why would I overload you with some more stuff that you ain't grateful for? See, gratitude, man, people don't understand how important that little thing is. Even if you don't have a plan, even if you don't know what your next move is, if you just woke up every day and just thanked him for just all the things you can go down, the next day, the very next day,
to be satisfied with where I am right now. I have too much on the line. I have too many people depending on me to win. I must stay hungry. You got to get hungry, 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 hungry. Eliminate all distractions. Eliminate all distractions. So you got to have a goal. You got to have a dream. You got to get hungry. And then you got to get real disciplined. Because motivation will get you going. A speech will get you fired up. But discipline is going to give you the power to stay committed to whatever that goal is.
You don't belong at the bottom, and it's time for you to get your butt from down there. It's time for you to stop being comfortable at the bottom. Get your butt up and get to where you're supposed to be. The Bible says he was in a pig pen and he came to himself and he went home. Get your butt up.
Do not let misery control the life that you have. Do not let anyone tell you how to live. And do not let anyone validate your purpose. Do not let anyone validate your destiny. Someone told you a long time ago that you wasn't worthy. Someone looked you in the eye and said, He wasn't going to make it I say to you right now that you will make it I say to you right now that you must make it I say to you right now that you must tell excuses, fear, and doubt that it has no place in your place of business. For this is your life that you are fighting for. This is your life that you are living for. And make no mistake, no one is going to do you better than you.
That's the time to act. You say, Mr. Rohn, I'd like to have a library like yours. See if you feel strong about that. What you got to do is get the first book and then get the second book. Before the feeling passes and before the idea gets dim, action pronto, action immediate, action as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now, it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act.
You pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're doing everything right. I'm not coach right now. I'm your conscience. You're in a fight between will and skill. I say will first because that's where you are. You locked and loaded with skill. You practicing every day. You putting in your work. You buying everything. You making the investment. You living your dream. You walking like your dream. You surrounding yourself around your dream. You got mentors, everything. You putting your work in. You got your skill. Now it's a test of your will. It's a mindset thing you in right now. It's a mindset thing because your challenge ain't moving. Your mountain is not moving. You don't feel like you're making any progress. You're not physically moving when you see everything else around you and other people around you moving. You're not making progress. You're in the test of your will right now.
Don't wait for something to happen. You make it happen. You make it happen for a reason and take full responsibility and control of this thing we call life. Excellence, do you really believe that it's something that happens overnight and can't be given to you? No one is going to hand it to you. You have to sleep, you have to breathe, you have to eat it. Every single day of your life, applause, until you achieve that greatness. When we talk about excellence, we are talking about an obsession to outwork and outperform. Everybody in the room, what is your current standard on life on excellence? Or how you pursue things, how you operate, basically when you show up.
Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up the discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. It's right. I need to get a book on nutrition. Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process. Fall on the floor. Do some push-ups. Action. Got to take action. Otherwise, the wisdom is wasted. Otherwise, the emotion soon passes. Unless you put it into a disciplined activity. Capture it. Disciplines is called how to capture the emotion and how to capture the wisdom and translate it into equity. Disciplines. Now here's what's important about disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone.
Because life says it has a little more test for you. You can look at your challenge with skill and it will see it just as that. A challenge. Or you can look at your challenge with will and see it as much. Understand this and listen to me clearly. You may forget this face, you may forget this voice, you may forget who told you, but get your pads out. Don't ever forget these words that I'm about to tell you. If you want to be great in this life, you only have one choice, gentlemen. You only have one choice. You can make choices that just get you remembered, or you can make choices that ultimately make you a legend.
Do you show up in an excellent way? Do you show up with an average way? How do you show up in a mediocre, have prepared, half thought out way? Listen to me very carefully. Excellence is about standard, and excellence is a requirement for your dream to come true when others are sleeping. You need to be awake, work on having an excellent driven mindset. Sure, there are going to be some times and you're going to just fall to the left, and you may even fall to the right. You may even fall back. Learn from your mistakes, grow from your mistakes, and become unique, but never quit. Music, don't stop moving forward.
I was really interested in that issue of people mistreating themselves, because we are privy to our own weaknesses and faults. We know them better than anyone else knows them. And so it's very easy for us to determine that we're not worthwhile because of all the ways that we don't live up to what we should live up to, and the painful knowledge we have of that, and to not regard ourselves as worthwhile, and to not treat ourselves properly. And that's not good. You have to treat yourself as if you're valuable. And then that is the same attitude that you extend to other people. Well, and it's because you are valuable, and that it's a necessity to adopt the responsibility that goes along with recognizing that. So even if you're not happy with who you are, and even if you have your reasons, you still deserve presumption of innocence. You still deserve to have a good defense mounted on your own behalf. You still need to treat yourself as if you're someone valuable and someone worthy of love, even though you have all reasons to know why you fall short. And that's absolutely crucial, and it is hard for people to learn that. Hard for them to learn not to beat themselves up too much.
Every relationship that you have in your life, or that you've ever had in your life, with every single person, is a reflection of the relationship that you are having with yourself. People come into our life, into our experience, to show us, to demonstrate, to reflect and mirror back to us the places and pieces and parts of ourselves that we cannot see, are unwilling to see, that we deny or dismiss or ignore. Every relationship in your life is a reflection of the relationship that you're having with yourself. Now, right now, if you're having some resistance to that, if you're thinking about your ex or your ex-mother-in-law or your girlfriend or somebody that betrayed you, and your mind is telling you that can't be true, that's not right, that's it. That's it right there. Because there are parts of us, there are things about us that we simply cannot see. Sometimes we don't want to see. Sometimes we see and then we ignore or deny. You see, each and every one of us has what we call a shadow part. That's the part of us that we hide and cover and covet. Those pieces and aspects and things about ourselves that we find unpleasant or unacceptable. We tuck them away in the shadow. And someone will come into our life and reflect a light on that shadow. And that's when we see it. We see it in them. People come into our lives and they mirror back to us the pieces and parts of ourselves that we cannot, will not, do not want to see. And it's all a reflection of the relationship that we're having with ourselves. Do you love you? I mean, really love and accept you? Do you trust you? Do you trust your own thoughts and feelings? Do you honor you? Do you respect you? And where did you learn how to do that? Because so many of us have a disjointed or dysfunctional relationship with ourselves because of what we've seen and what we've been taught and what we've been told. And the relationship that we have with ourselves more often than not mirrors what we've been taught and what we've seen and what we've experienced. But in order to truly grow and evolve in our soul and our way of being, we want to develop a relationship with ourselves, a good, solid, loving, functional relationship with ourselves. So how do you do that, Miss Iyama? How do you develop a relationship with yourself? Well, it starts here. Who am I? Not what do I do. Who am I when the lights are off and I'm naked and I stand before the mirror? Who am I? This is a question you must answer. Not who were you taught to be, who were you told to be, who you think you should be. Who are you? And there's a very simple way to find out. Ask yourself, what are those things about you that come forward, those things that make you tick, those things that pump you up, those things that drag you down? Who am I? You've got to answer that question. And don't judge yourself if you don't know it. So very often we think if we're 30 or 40 or 50 years old, we need to know. But how many of us have really sat and asked the question? We know what we do. We know what is expected of us. We know what our obligations and responsibilities are. But who am I in the middle of the night when I wake up and there's nobody there? Who am I in a crowd of people where I feel uncomfortable? Answer that question. The next step to really developing a healthy relationship with yourself is understanding what matters to you. What do you value? Do you value freedom? Do you value peace? Do you value external validation? How do you discover that? Again, pen to paper. What matters to me is, because very often we go into relationships and settle for less than we want, deserve, or desire because we don't know what matters to us and we don't know how to ask for it, and more often than not, we don't expect to get it. But when you know who you are, when you know what you value, when you know what matters to you, every relationship that you go into, you will expect and you will receive reciprocation for who you are and what you give and what matters and what you value, because you will attract to you more of who you are. Like draws like. That's just the law. That's how it works. The next step, see yourself. See yourself at your best and see yourself as your worst, and don't judge it. Accept it. Self-acceptance. There are some things about me that I love, and there are some things about me that I'd rather nobody ever knew. But you know what I've learned to do? I've learned to put that stuff out front. I don't hide it. I don't deny it. I don't lie about it. And when it shows up in my face, either in someone else's behavior or when I'm in my stuff, doing my thing, I accept it. Self-acceptance. See yourself. Know yourself. Accept all of who you are without judging it. So very often we think we should be somewhere else, doing something else. We think we should be in another place in life and we should have more. Well, if you don't know who you are and what matters and what values, what you got is what you've created from a lack of knowledge of yourself. See yourself. Know yourself. Accept yourself without judgment. Appreciate yourself. No matter where you are today, you got you there. The good and the not so good. No matter who you are today, you've been with you through it all. Appreciate who you are. And finally, honor yourself. Honor your feelings. Honor your thoughts. Honor your gifts. Honor your strengths. Honor your weaknesses. Work on those things that need to be worked on. Give yourself permission to explore, to stand up, to fall down, to not be perfect all the time. Honor who you are, where you are, what you do, how you do it, and commit yourself to be better.
You are a choice-making individual, and that all of the conditions that you find yourself in your life, all of the circumstances of your life, all of the emotional reactions that you have to all of the people and all of the things and events and so on that take place in your life, you can't help the way that you are. You indeed are the product of all of the choices that you've made up until this moment. Circumstances do not make a man, they reveal him. Which means that in order to rid yourself or get past the negativity and the doubt and the judgment and the kinds of emotional reactions that get in your way, you have to put responsibility first and foremost on yourself. You have to rid yourself of the inclination to blame other people for what is wrong with you, to blame your circumstances, to look backwards in your life and look at your family and come up with all kinds of real nice explanations, but they really don't help you to get past these kinds of emotional reactions. There's the invisible part of you, the part of you that processes everything that you experience in your life. This is your mind, your consciousness, your soul, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what you label it. It's just understanding that how you process and perceive yourself is determined not by what other people tell you, as much as you'd like to believe that, but in fact by how you have chosen to process yourself. Feel good about yourself. Treat yourself, cherish yourself as a valuable, important, significant, grand, divine creature, as someone who is unique and special in all the world. And feel that way about yourself wherever you go and carry yourself that way.
Just because it seems like God is too late doesn't mean that he's not going to come through. Don't be fooled by the circumstances. You may not see anything. The odds are against you. The experts say it's not going to work out. God controls the universe. Don't be impatient for him to act. Keep believing, keep praying, and every blessing that belongs to you will show up. You won't have to go after it. It's going to come to you. It's going to happen at the time God has planned.
If God can pick me up and dust me off, I bet you he can do the same thing for you. But he can't do it if you don't come to him. You got to ask him for help. God wants a relationship with you. He don't want you to call him every 6 months. He want to hear from you, man. He just want to say, hey, man, God, I appreciate you today. Thank you for waking me up this morning. And the cool thing about God is you ain't got to clear it with nobody. You don't need an appointment. You ain't got to see if he available. He open 24/7. He here all the time. I'm telling you, man. Look at me. You gotta have God. I'm telling you real. You try this without God, you tripping. You tripping. You do this without relationship with God gives you the tools and the weapons to handle life. You can stop thinking that life fitting be easy, because I got news for you, it ain't. That's a false hope to think you're going to have a wonderfully carefree life. That's unthinkable. I made a t-shirt that said, faith don't make it easy. Faith makes it possible. You just need some faith, man. You got to call on God, and when it look like he ain't coming, you got to keep calling on him. See, the moment you call, let me teach you this one lesson. I'm gonna let you go, I promise. This is short. The way it works is, when you ask God for something, he boxes it up and he delivers it to you immediately. He ships the whatever you ask him for. If you believe it, he boxes it up and he ships it immediately. The problem with the package, he never tells you the date that the package is going to arrive. If you send it to me in 2020, I'm gonna be here for it. If it ain't coming to 2025, but you know what? He got some pretty good boxes. And I want every box that's got my name on it. Renew your faith. Keep praying. God is always coming. Your package has already been shipped. If you're trying to make it in this world without God in your life, you're making it way harder than it's got to be. I'm telling you, man, I did it. I did it without him. It does not work. I flunked out of school. I had a severe stuttering problem. I couldn't talk outside my house. I'm on my 3rd marriage. I lost everything I ever owned twice. I've been homeless and lived in a car for 3 years. You can't tell me nothing about what he can't do for you. Nothing. Let me tell you something, man. I've been bottomed out. I'm talking about flat bottomed out. Nothing. I was talking today with my oldest son. He said, man, damn. Every time I hear about something you went through, I just go, how did you make it? I just kept his faith, man. I just kept believing that God didn't bring me this far to leave me. I just kept hearing my mama as a Sunday school teacher saying little scriptures to me. It didn't dawn on me till I got older. I'm telling you, man, I didn't get a car in my name till I was 38 years old. I was 38 before I purchased my first car. 38. Come on, man. I lived in a car for 3 years. I had nothing. But I made a decision, man. I just started talking to God every day. I just started asking him for help, to hear me. If you call God and you ask him to hear you, he hears you. I'm just telling you, it's real. God is real, man. Don't let nobody fool you. Listen to me, young people. Don't let nobody fool you.
We all go through things in life that don't make sense. A friend walked out of a relationship. The company's downsizing. They don't need us anymore. Or we were being our best. Then the pandemic hit. Business went down. Children can't go to school. Dreams are put on hold. Sometimes it feels like we're going backwards. It's easy to live frustrated and think, God, why is this happening? But we're not going to understand everything that happens. God's ways are not our ways. He can see things that we can't see. And just because it's not fair doesn't mean that God is not in control. Your steps are being ordered by the Lord. If He allowed it to happen, He's going to bring good out of it. He promises all things work together for your good. On its own, it may not be good. It wasn't fair. You're uncomfortable. But when it all comes together, you're going to see how it works to your advantage. The difficulty, the delay, the betrayal was all instrumental in you reaching your destiny. But none of us like bad breaks, loss, delay. But without that difficulty, you couldn't become who you were created to be. It may look like a dead end, but really it's setting you up for promotion. That door closed so a bigger door could open. That person that left you, it was hurtful, but it wasn't just their choice. God moved them out of the way so He could bring someone better. Well, that struggle was difficult. You didn't do anything wrong, but you had opposition at work. Your child wouldn't do what's right. It wasn't fair, but what you couldn't see is it was growing you up, developing your character, getting you stronger, more confident, more determined. Without it, you wouldn't be prepared for the blessing, the increase, the new levels that are coming your way. You may not understand what you're going through. You could live worried, discouraged. Try a new approach. God, I don't understand it, but I trust you. I know you're in control. You're working all things for my good. So I'm not going to live upset. I'm going to stay in peace, knowing that you will get me to where I'm supposed to be. There are a lot of things we don't understand, trouble that we've never seen. Like Jesus washed the disciples' feet, you're His disciple. If you would have been there, He would have washed your feet. I can imagine Him doing that today. He's saying, you're going to walk through things you don't understand, see difficulties that you've never seen. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to live upset and afraid, but don't worry, I've washed your feet. I've prepared you for what you're going to face. I've armed you with strength for the battle. It may not make sense, but it's all a part of my plan. God is getting you ready for new levels of influence, new levels of favor, new levels of leadership, new levels of resources. Now make sure you keep your shoes of peace on. Don't panic over the pandemic. Don't fear the unknown. Don't lose sleep over what doesn't make sense. God has equipped you, empowered you, and anointed you. You've been raised up for such a time as this. No weapon formed against you will prosper. You keep walking in faith, trusting when you don't understand, and you're going to walk into blessings, favor, healing, freedom, abundance, victory like you've never seen. I've learned when you stay in faith, when you don't understand, you're going to come into blessings that you don't understand. When you trust God when it doesn't make sense, you're going to come into favor that doesn't make sense. Could it be that the disappointment you're so upset about is really a blessing in disguise? You can't see it, but it's a part of a divine plan, a critical piece that God is going to use years down the road to take you where you've never dreamed. But right now, that situation by itself doesn't make sense. It seems random, just a bad break, when in fact, it's the hand of God setting you up for increase. Without that challenge, you won't see the far and beyond favor that belongs to you. Trust Him when it doesn't make sense. I know this is not easy. We don't like closed doors, unfair situations, being uncomfortable. But God uses these things to move us into our purpose. It's not just the good breaks that will take you into your destiny. The closed doors are as important as the open doors. The betrayals are just as important as the divine connections. God uses them all.
It says, if you search, you will find. So make the note, it's good Finding is reserved for the searchers because they deserve it. Now, at first they may have needed it, but they now know that just needing it is not sufficient. But if they need it, now they must qualify for it. The reason why you're going to be blessed with good ideas this weekend is because you've come searching. You've gotten on an airplane to come searching. Got in your automobile to come searching. You got here searching. Now you're ready to receive. And for those who search, they will find answers. They will find plans, imagination to stir yourself into action for future benefit. So if you search to find a good idea, you must go looking, go searching. You've got to go to church. You've got to go to class. You've got to go to the seminar. You've got to go to the library. You've got to go to the books if you wish to find. Rarely does a good idea interrupt you. Rarely. But if you will search, you will find. So we get not what we need, but we get what we deserve. It says if you ask, someone has an answer. If you keep asking, the answers belong to you, because by virtue of asking, you have qualified. So we don't get what we need, we get what we deserve. The mother on welfare should be taught in some small manner that hopefully she can begin deserving the welfare check. Not getting it because she needs it, but now starting to get it because she deserves it. If the welfare worker says to Mary, I brought a bucket of paint and a paintbrush, and the next time I come, if the door is painted and the fence here in front is painted, I give you the check for $450. Not that painting the door and painting the fence is worth $450. It's not worth that much, but it is the beginning of the process. So make that note. I want to begin the process of deserving. What would that be? What process should I begin engaging in to deserve good health, to deserve a good relationship, to deserve prosperity, to deserve an enterprise, to deserve the opportunity to build a city? What must I do to begin the process of deserving? So now the welfare worker comes back and the door is painted and the fence is painted. And now Mary gets the $450 to help take care of her children, not because she needs it, but because she's beginning to deserve it. Then the welfare worker thinks of some other project. She said, Mary, if these weeds are gone and this little garden is cultivated, when I come back, now that the door is painted and the fence is painted, if the weeds are gone and this little garden is cultivated, you get the $450. And step by step, a new life is emerging, learning the process of deserving it, not just needing. We teach our children at home, right? Child says, I need $10. So that language doesn't work here. There's plenty of money here, and the vaults are full. But to say I need $10 is not how you open the vault. So the child says what? Wow, how can I get that $10 that I need? So here's what they learn to say. How could I earn $10? Now the vault opens up. Now the money starts to flow. How could I earn $10? What could I do to earn the money? Not to get the money because you need it. Maybe you need the money. That's, all of us have needs. But here the key is to figure out how to open the vault, how to open the bank, how to open this unbelievable flow of resources to come our way. And here's the key: to deserve it, not to be. You can't walk out to the field and say to the field, I need a crop. Here's what the field says. Here's what the ground says. Who is this clown that brings me his need but brings me no seed? So jot that down. Take your seed to the marketplace, not your need. Don't disclose your need to the marketplace, only your willingness. We'll talk about that a little later today. Because the marketplace is not interested in your need, but they are interested in your seed. They're interested in your willingness to work. They're interested in your disciplines. They're interested in your eagerness. They're interested in your vitality and your work ethic. That's what the marketplace is interested in. Not your need, but your seed. We get what we deserve.
You shouldn't put money in a house. You should put money in your brand. You should put money in the marketing. You should promote yourself, not put money in where you and the kids live.
Right. Why is that a mistake?
Because it's dead money. I mean, it can't, a house can't make you money. A house does not make you money. The only reason people think a house makes them money is they're comparing it to, if I rent, that costs me money. But, you know, if you need to go to a hospital, you don't buy the hospital. You rent a bed to get out of there as fast as you can. If you go on a trip, you go to America and you want to go to Disneyland, you don't buy the hotel, you rent a room. And nobody thinks poorly of that. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna go there, use the place, and get out. That's what you should be doing with your living. Find a place where you can rent. Pay rent monthly. Don't own the house. And take all the money that you would have put in that house purchase, down payment, extra money, fixing it up. Use all that money to improve your business and yourself so that you can get more money. Right? So I see so many people here like, I'm going to invest 300,000 pounds in a house to hopefully make $30,000, 30,000 pounds. Right. I'm going to buy it for 300. Maybe I'll sell it for 600,000. I'll double my money. Fixed in one place, by the way, where no money comes to you. Money does not go to homes.
Right. And that's a big thing on your career is moving locations.
Yeah, I've moved 5 or 6 times. I can move another 4 or 5 times.
Because people who stay in the same place get too comfortable.
If you study wealthy people, they're mercurial. They're moving. They're mobile. They're not talking. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates do not talk about the home they live in. They talk about the places they're going to. They go meet money. They go meet wealth. They go meet connections.
People are stunningly accepting of anything if they actually believe that's the purest form of it. I think I'd be less acceptable if I hedged. I really do. People will accept you. People accept everything. Just be you. Be you, and clearly people like react. When you're trying to fake something and you've got bad intent, well then that's visceral and we hate. But I actually think we don't give love to the person that actually knows they have it and they're trying to fake it to conform. Hence why I won't adjust to this market all the way, because I don't think I'll be respected. I know what my intent is, so why would I be scared? I want to build the biggest building in town. That's who I am.
Once you think about the goals that you want to achieve, and I really want to challenge you to make up your mind that you're going to make that happen for yourself. And I hope that it's some goal that really resonates with who you are. When I was a little boy, my goal was to just buy groceries for our family. My mother worked on Miami Beach. She was a domestic worker. And my goal was to really be able to go to the grocery store and purchase groceries ourselves. The families knew that my mother had adopted 7 children. And so they said, Mamie, whatever food is left over after we eat, you can take that home to the children. They were very kind, very, very considerate people. My mother, who when she worked on Miami Beach, the people were very kind. I was appreciative of their generosity. But as a little boy, I said, Mama, one day when I become a big boy, I'm going to be able to buy groceries for us. My goal as a little boy was to buy clothes for my brothers and sisters. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama babysat for when she went over in Miami Beach. And if the clothes were too small, she would let them out. And if they were too large, Mama could sew and take them up. And I'll never forget David Sidursky. His father was very wealthy. Mama worked for him, but David was my buddy. And so his father gave him 2 gifts for his birthday. Gave him a brand new boat, but he also gave him some motivational tapes. Earl Nightingale, I'll never forget. So he said, David, man, let me tell you something. When I die, you're going to get everything. I want you to listen to these tapes. And when his father left the room, David threw those tapes in the wastebasket. I said, David, could I have those tapes? He said, yes. I said, man, your father said, if you listen to these, you could get more and do more than what he's done. He said, look, I'm going to get everything anyhow. Go ahead, take them. Write this down. It's not what you leave for your children, it's what you leave in them. You have something special. You have greatness within you. And the only reason you're here, you are my assignment. You can feel me. Some of you feel me right here in your heart of hearts. And my goal is to get past your mind and into your heart. So it's necessary that you have the mindset that I can do this. You've got to begin to believe and to fortify that belief and feed that belief by listening to tapes, going to seminars and workshops, by challenging yourself, by stretching yourself. It was Osborne who said, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. And as you begin to challenge yourself, you'll discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. The other thing is you begin to look at yourself, look at your dreams, and begin to experiment and stepping into your greatness. One of the things that's very important, whatever goals and dreams that you have, make your move before you're ready.
Nothing in your life just happened. Your life is not over. You're not too old. It's not too late. God knows about your limitations. Whatever God has predetermined to happen will come to pass. And no devil in hell has ever been able to abort the purpose of God, not once. Your mistakes were in his will. Your trouble was in his will. I don't care what you went through. David said, if I make my bed in hell, God is still there. He was with you in the middle of your trouble. He was with you in the middle of your pain. You ought to shout, I don't care where you are, because nothing just happens. The reason we worship him as God is because he is the CEO. He runs the universe. Think about the most damnable thing that ever happened and shout nothing. Think about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about people who loved you and walked out and left you and shout nothing. Think about the struggle going on your job right now and shout nothing. There's a reason why it happened at this age. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. He's in complete control, and he knows where you are, and he knows how old you are, and he knows what happened to you, and he knows who walked out and left you, and he knows about your bills, and he knows about what you didn't get, and he knows about the health of your child. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. And hear me when I tell you this. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I don't want you to try to talk another person into staying with you, loving you, coming to see you, staying attached to you. I mean, hang up the phone. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. People leave you because they're not joined to you. And if they're not joined to you, you get super glue and you can't make them stay. Let them go.
Don't worry about the people that God has removed from your life. He saw things you didn't see. He heard conversations you couldn't hear. And he made moves you wouldn't make.
We all have things happen to us in life that we don't understand. We worked hard, but we didn't get the promotion. Or people that have turned on us. It's easy to live frustrated and fight against everything we don't like. We think that it's holding us back. But Psalm 119 says, everything serves his plan. The betrayals are serving his plan. The person that walked away is serving his plan. If that wouldn't have happened, you couldn't reach your destiny. What you couldn't see was God had something better. You may not like it, it doesn't seem fair, but it's serving his plan. When you understand that everything serves his plan, then you won't live frustrated when something unfair happens. The person that walked away wasn't a coincidence, it was God moving them away. We need to see difficulties in a new light. You can't reach your destiny without opposition, without betrayals. Why are you upset over something that's designed to move you forward? God wouldn't have allowed it if he didn't have a purpose. Nothing can happen to you without his permission. How do you know that closed door, that bad break, that disappointment is not setting you up for something that you've never seen? That coworker that always gets on your nerves. You know why they haven't moved? They're serving you. God is using them like sandpaper to rub the rough edges off of you. The scripture says our steps are being ordered by the Lord. Don't be upset over that person that's trying to make you look bad. You need them to reach your destiny. God doesn't take us in a straight line. Sometimes it's going to feel like you're going backwards. You have to trust him when you don't understand. That's why Paul said, all things work together for good to those that love the Lord. All things may not be good. The loss isn't good, but the promise is it's going to work out for your good. Now the test, while it's not good, will you stay in faith? Will you believe that God is still on the throne? that what He started in your life, He's going to finish? Many of the challenges that you're facing now, they don't have anything to do with now. It's positioning you for something in your future. You will see how God will begin to connect the dots. There was a man out in his boat. Big storm came up and his boat capsized. But he ended up stranded on a deserted island all by himself. He kept praying and praying for God to send somebody, but it seemed like the heavens were silent. One day, while he was out gathering food, when he came back, the small thatched roof hut that he had built somehow caught on fire. It was like pouring salt on the wound. About an hour later, he saw a boat way off in the distance. It kept getting closer and closer. Sure enough, it was the Coast Guard coming to rescue him. He said, "How in the world did you find me?" The captain said, "We saw the smoke coming from the fire that you built." Sometimes what we think is a disappointment is really God positioning us for a new level. If your hut's on fire today, instead of being bitter, have a new perspective. It's serving His plan. It may not make sense now. The betrayal, the closed doors can be discouraging. But you have to keep reminding yourself it's not working against you, it's working for you. Sometimes God is not removing the obstacle because He's using the obstacle to get us prepared. We don't grow in the good times. We prefer that much better, but we wouldn't reach our potential. We grow when it's difficult. That's why you can't pray away every challenge. If the situation is not changing, then God is using the situation to change you. If God made everything easy for us, we wouldn't be ready for where we're going. God has amazing things in your future. But to get there, you're going to have to defeat some big giants, outlast some strong opposition. You have to stand strong and show the opposition that you're more determined than they are. Every day you stay in faith, you thank God when nothing's happening, your spiritual muscles are growing. You're getting stronger, more determined, developing a greater trust in God. Keep the right attitude. Keep doing the right thing when the wrong thing is happening. Don't be discouraged because nothing's happening on the outside, something's happening on the inside. You're getting stronger. God didn't lessen what came against you. He simply added to your strength. Now you can handle what you couldn't handle in the past. You may have been dealing with situations for a long time that are not improving. I believe right now, grace is coming on you in a new way. God is breathing strength into you, fresh passion, a second wind so you can outlast what's trying to stop you. Don't go around, why did the door close? Why did these people betray me? No, turn it around. Father, thank you that your grace is sufficient. I may not understand it, but I know it's serving your plan. And I believe when it's all said and done, I'm not only going to come out, I'm going to come out better. God is saying to you today, everything that's come against you is going to turn out for your good. Perhaps your hut is on fire today. What you can't see is the Most High God is on the way. Something that looked permanent is about to suddenly turn around. I'm asking you to trust Him when you don't understand. Stay in peace. Everything serves His plan.
I say that because sometimes you're whining about things that really don't matter. And if you were smart, you would learn how to count your blessings and to thank God for what He's done in your life.